and boys and girls. If you could just let us know where you're joining us today in the chat. Where are you from? Let us know in the chat below. My name is Shannon McPherson, and I'm from Kingston, Jamaica. I'm a Bachelor of Science student in Networking and Cybersecurity at the University of the Commonwealth Caribbean and co founder of Coded Virtual Learning. I am beyond excited to be hosting this year's Girls in ICT event 2025. This incredible event is brought to you by the Caribbean Telecommunications Union with amazing support from Restore a Sense of ICANN. This year's theme, Girls in ICT for Inclusive Digital Transformation, is not just a slogan, it's a call to action. Today, we celebrate the fearless women who are transforming the digital world across the Caribbean. And we open the doors wide for more girls and women to take their place in tech. And of course, we also recognize and thank the men or male allies who continue to support, champion, and stand beside us. Because building an inclusive digital future takes all of us working together. We're here to empower, to uplift, and to remind every girl that technology isn't just a tool, it's a gateway to opportunity, innovation, and change. Now, as we continue this exciting journey into Girls ICT Day, it's my absolute pleasure to introduce someone who truly embodies the spirit of today's celebration. Please welcome. Join me. That means if you're in good health and strength, we should be seeing some chat going up. We should be seeing some reactions across the screen. Join me in welcoming Miss Michelle Garcia, Marketing and Communications Specialist at the Caribbean Telecommunication Union, who will deliver our official remarks and set the stage for an inspiring day. Michelle.
Thank you, Chanel, for that exciting opening and greeting. So good morning again, everyone. I am Michelle Garcia, Marketing and Communications Specialist of the CTU. Now, those of you who are joining us, please turn on your cameras so we can see those beautiful smiles. We're so excited this morning. And what an absolute pleasure it is to welcome each and every one of you, students, teachers, tech enthusiasts, future leaders, to the CTU celebration of Girls in ICT Day 2025. Now, this year, we gather under the theme, Girls in ICT for Inclusive Digital Transformation. It sounds like a big phrase, but let's break it down. It simply means we're working to make sure that everyone, especially you, has a chance to be part of the digital revolution shaping our world. Whether you dream of building apps, launching your own tech startup, working in cybersecurity, or using ICT to solve real-world problems, there is a place for you, and we want you to take it boldly. I would like to take a moment to specially acknowledge Mr. Rodney Taylor, Secretary General of the CTU. Under his visionary leadership, the CTU has taken major strides in empowering women, youth, and people with disabilities in the digital space. Yes, we are an inclusive organization. And Mr. Taylor is a true champion for gender equality and youth inclusion in technology. In fact, it is through his leadership that we now have two amazing initiatives that I want each of you to know about and to join, of course. Now, the first is the CTU Network of Women, or CTU Now. This network was created to uplift and connect women across the region who are working, leading, or aspiring to thrive in the ICT space. It's a space where women support each other, grow together, and lead change. So, to all the young women here today, whether you're still in school or already charting your career, we want you to be part of this growing sisterhood of Caribbean tech leaders. And my colleague Shanae here will drop the link in the chat. Yes? So you'll know more about it. And to all our young minds, the dreamers, the coders, the digital creators, we want you to be a part of the CTU ICT Youth Network. This is your space to share ideas and voice your opinions on ICT issues, build your skills through workshops and training, advocate for a safer digital world, collaborate with other youth and industry leaders, and lead projects that use technology to create a better, more inclusive future. Now, let me tell you this. The future of ICT is in the Caribbean isn't just something adults are planning. It's something you are also building. So be brave, ask questions, start something, and know that you're supported by a community that believes in you. Now let's talk about today. We have a powerful lineup ahead. We'll kick things off with an inspiring feature address by Ms. Shamla Maharaj, an amazing woman living with a disability who has overcome barriers and is breaking new ground. She will set the tone for what's possible when determination meets opportunity. Then get ready for a dynamic panel discussion from the classroom to the boardroom. Women leading in ICT. How many of you young women see yourself in a boardroom? How many of you young women see yourself leading initiatives across this region? Well, you will hear from these amazing professionals like Ms. Vashti Maharaj, Ms. Esther Calendar George, and we have one male, Mr. Sheldon Rosary, because we're not forgetting the boys. They will share their real life experiences, challenges, and advise you on how you can carve your own path in the ICT world. After that, don't miss the session on digital entrepreneurship with Ms. Recolia Phillip. She's an influencer, she's a digital content creator, and she'll provide practical advice on how you can build and grow your own business online. And finally, we'll wrap up with reflections from Ms. Gabrielle Johnson, and she's from the ICT Youth Network. And she will also encourage you to get involved and stay connected. Today is about learning, yes, but it's also about imagining what is possible. So enjoy the panel discussions. Take notes during the sessions and connect with the speakers. And don't leave without dreaming bigger than when you arrived. And let's make today unforgettable. Let's make you the future of ICT. But before I go, and I know Chanel mentioned it, but I'd just like to acknowledge Mr. Raj Ramdas, founder of Restore a Sense of ICANN, or RSC, for his continued support. And this event is currently being broadcast on the RSC's platform, where there are over 6,000 viewers across the Caribbean. And we're also streaming live on the CTU's Facebook and YouTube platforms. So share the links that are posted in the chat. And thank you again, every one of you, for joining us today. And happy Girls in ICT Day 2025. Thank you, Chanel.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Based on that agenda, we already know today's going to be great. There's no room here or vacancy for Murphy's Law. We know that the girls, we are ready, we are brave, we are smart, and we want to have something new. I encourage every young woman. I see that the chat, I see in the chat that we have posted the link. I just want to ask everyone here just to take the time out, women, especially girls, within the chat, to click on that link and be a part of our initiative, be a part of the change within the Caribbean. Again, we're asking everyone here to turn on their cameras. We'd like to interact. We'd like to see the people behind the screens, the trailblazers. All right. So Again, guys, if you can, turn on those cameras. Let us see who we're interacting with. We want to connect with you. All right, but before we introduce our next speaker, this speaker is inspiring and she embodies what the CTU stands for, an inclusive network. But before we welcome her, I want us all to take the time and the moment to reflect on power, the power of resilience, the power of determination, and the power of unshakable purpose. Sometimes the world places barriers in our paths. It could be physical, it can be social, even systematic. But some people, they don't just rise above these barriers, they break them down. They build new doors and hold them open for others to walk through. And so, for this next speaker, she is brilliant within the mind and within the field of ICT, proving every day that disability is not an inability and that talent, passion, and purpose has no limit. Our next speaker is Shamala Maraj. So Shamala is currently the product delivery analyst for Scotiabank English Caribbean region and the diverse ability ERG led for Scotia, Trinidad and Tobago. Shamala holds a Bachelor of Science in Marketing and Agribusiness and also a Business of Science in Agribusiness Management from the University of the West Indies. Jamal is also a leadership ambassador. She is the freelance host and producer for a morning show segment, Unique, Not Different, highlighting persons with disability, stakeholders, and allies locally, regionally, and internationally. She has volunteered her time to support the Caribbean Court of Justice in drafting a policy for employees and users of the system. She has also served on the management committee in the operationalization of the National Enrichment Center and the advisory council board for the National Strategic Plan for Youth and Child Development. Shamala represented Trinidad and Tobago at the UNESCO's 8th World Youth Forum in Paris. And also, she manages the UNESCO's management of the Social Transformation Conference for the Latin America and Caribbean countries. She has also sat on the American Chamber of Commerce's Women in Leadership panel. Ladies and gentlemen, I should be seeing the reactions in the chat for this extraordinary woman. We should be seeing some love emojis flying across our screen. She has been doing exceptionally well. Please give a round of applause for Miss Shamala Maraj. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. Before I begin my actual speech, I just want to say this is an incredible initiative, given everything that I've learned about it and what I'm hearing today. So my address today will be adapting, advancing, achieving the Caribbean's digital possibilities. So again, good morning, everyone. Before I begin, I want you to take a moment and imagine what your life would be without ICT. No internet, no devices, no digital learning, no apps, no access to tools that connect us to knowledge, opportunity, or each other. Now imagine facing the world with limited mobility or navigating education and career goals with barriers at every turn. This was my reality once, and for many, it still is. Today's theme, Girls in ICT for Inclusive Digital Transformation, holds a deep meaning for me, not as a woman in tech per se, but as a woman who was born into a world where I had few rights, yet lived to witness how technology could shift what was once thought impossible. And as someone who has had to innovate through life in more ways than one, I've come to see technology not as a convenience, but as a lifeline for all of us. My name is Shamla Maharaj, and I live with cerebral palsy, a condition that impacts my physical ability and alters how I navigate through the world. But even as a child, I was never the one to wait for the world to create a space for me. I believed then as I do now, that if I wanted to move forward, I had to create my own facility. My earliest experience with technology began around the age of 7, learning to type on a typewriter. Back then, I had no idea how deeply that skill would serve me. That simple act of typing evolved into a doorway, allowing me to transition smoothly into the digital world as computers became more common. Today, I serve as a product delivery analyst for Scotiabank English Caribbean region and the Diversibility Employees Resource Group led for Scotiabank Trinidad and Tobago. Through digital tools and inclusive system, I'm able to execute my responsibility remotely, delivering results, leading region-wide initiative, and driving inclusion with the same professionalism as if I was seated in any corporate office. But more than that, this flexibility has empowered me to do more. I am the freelance host and producer of Unique But Different, a weekly national television segment that amplifies stories of resilience and inclusion from persons with disability, stakeholders, and allies across the globe. I also serve as a leadership ambassador for Volunteered with the Caribbean Court of Justice to shape inclusive education. This freedom to work beyond physical boundaries has not only enhanced what I do, it has expanded how I show up, serve, and shape the world around me. When first became mainstream, many feared it would make people lazy or less intellectually engaged. But the opposite happened. Technology, when used right, empowered the world to learn more, to do more, and break down barriers to knowledge, communication, and opportunities. Now, as we move deeper into the age of artificial intelligence, we are standing at another crossroad of innovation. AI is no longer a distant concept. It is here. It is transforming everything from education, healthcare, to how we live and work. And when harnessed responsibly, AI can accelerate inclusion. AI-assisted technology, from predictive text to speech recognition, real-time language translation, and image description software are changing how people with disabilities interact with the world. And the ripple effect, these advancements help everyone. They simplify tasks, increase accessibility, and open doors that no one shut. But AI has also raised an important challenge. We must be intentional on how we design and deploy it. Inclusive digital transformation means we need AI that reflects diversity of its users, built by teams who understand different lived experience and guided by ethics to prioritize equity. And here's something I've learned. If we want to stay relevant in the evolving landscape, we must choose to adapt, not from fear, but from a place of empowerment. Let technology be the tool to amplify your potential, not to replace it. Let AI enhance creativity, not erase humanity. The future won't wait for us to catch up. So let's meet it boldly by learning, adapting, and evolving. Because those who adapt with intention will not only stay relevant, they will lead. For me, adapting to life with cerebral palsy has never been with waiting on systems to become inclusive. It's about finding the tools, strategy, especially digital ones, that help me adapt and strive. As I firmly believe that advancement in ICT, including AI, is key to building sustainable an equitable future for all. To all young women here today, ICT is not a distant world for it. It's not a distant world for a few. It's your world too. Whether you're building apps, solving problems, storytelling, or simply curious about how things work, you can belong to this space, and your perspective matters. If the Caribbean is to stand shoulder to shoulder with the developed world, it won't happen by chance. It will happen through bold steps you take and the skills you build. You have the power to accelerate the Caribbean's development, not just by what you choose to do, but by how you do it, with creativity, critical thinking, collaboration, and purpose. We must not only adapt technology, but also cultivate the minds that will use it meaningfully. This means nurturing creativity, developing critical and building strong analytical skills. These are building blocks of innovation. These are what allow you not to just use digital tools, but to shape the future with them. And to the teachers, parents, and stakeholders, you play a pivotal role. Our schools must go beyond access technology, must teach students how to think, how to problem solve, and how to imagine better systems and solutions. Technology should be part of our curriculum, but so should inclusion, resilience, and courage. The Caribbean has the talent. We just need to nurture it with the right mindset, support system, and opportunity. As we look to the future, one thing is clear. ICT is our future. AI is shaping how we live, and inclusive innovation is non-negotiable. But this future needs you. It needs your ideas, your perspective, your voice, especially in a space where you've seen yourself before. So if you have ever wondered whether you belong in technology, let me be the first to tell you, you do. If you ever question whether you could code, build, lead, or influence, you absolutely can. Let, let this be your innovation to explore ICT, not just as a career, but as a movement towards access, creativity, equity, and limitless possibility. Because stepping into ICT is not just a personal achievement. It is joining a revolution that is actively shaping how we live, work, and connect. One that has the power to close global gaps, to level the playing field between nations, and to move forward to a world where every country, no matter how small the developing, has a tool to strive, innovate, and lead. When you step into ICT, you're not just learning this skill, you're helping build a more equitable world, a world where innovation does not leave anyone behind, a world that strives on diverse perspectives, adaptive tools, and bold minds ready to solve problems. So let's keep building, not just platforms and programs, but possibility. To the CTU team, thank you for the opportunity to be part of this powerful movement and visionary movement. And every student listening here today, it may take just one of you, one heart, one idea, one innovation to spare another child the heartbreak and grief I once knew. A child who had to leave her family behind just to access basic education with no way of communication, simply because the system wasn't built for someone like me or her. Be the one who changes that. Be the one who dares to make it matter. And to the educators, policymakers, and stakeholders, you are the architect of what comes next. The power to make the change a reality, and it lies in your hands. By remodeling the system and reflect the times we live in and the shifting ways our young people think, create, and connect, you ensure no one gets left behind. This is your call to action to build an environment that not only digital, but deeply inclusive, to create school programs, policies, and don't ask children to adapt to barriers, but remove the barriers altogether. Let's wait. Let's not wait for the future to arrive. Let's shape it together. Thank you, and may you rise with the power to transform your world one bold step, one bright idea, and one breakthrough at a time. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much, Shamala, for that impactful message. Persons in the chat, persons listening, can we show Shamal some love? Can we show Shamala some appreciation within the chat? Tell us one thing that Shamala said that stood out to you, and we'll see that in the chat as well. One thing that Shamala said that really stood out for me in particular is the word possibility, built through resilience, knowledge, or support system, and through innovation. So if there's any woman or girl that's listening to Shamala and her story, I ask you today, what are you imagining? What is your possibility for our ICT future? Place it in the chat. Let us see what your thoughts are and let us support you in your endeavors. Okay. So, our next discussion from, sure. So, our next discussion from the classroom to boardroom, women leading in ICT. Again, everyone, we're asking you kindly to turn on your cameras if it's possible. We'd like to see your faces. It's a great day. The sun is out. And we would like to see the person behind the screen if possible. So turn on those cameras. Just a touch of that button. In our next discussion, from the classroom to the boardroom, woman leading in ICT. This features a dynamic panel featuring three accomplished women in the ICT sector, and I believe we were advised that we have one male as well, sharing personal insights on their career journeys, the challenges they have overcame, and the strategies that have helped their professional success. Again, ladies and gentlemen, we are asking you kindly to turn on your camera if this is possible, as well as at the end of this panel discussion, there will be open, we'll be asking some, the panel will be open for some question. And we're going to ask our moderator for the panel discussion, Shania Lewis, who is the policy analyst at the Caribbean Telecommunication Union, CTU, uh, to invite our panelists and to take over this panel discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Chanel. It's a pleasure to moderate this important dialogue as we learn of the pathways, perseverance, and progress of Caribbean professionals in the ever-evolving field of ICT. ICT is more than just a sector. It is a force shaping our economies, driving our public services, and redefining the way we live and work. As we embrace digital transformation, it is vital that we also promote inclusive leadership and equitable participation, particularly among women and young innovators. Today, we are privileged to hear from three dynamic individuals whose careers exemplify leadership, innovation, and resilience in the ICT space. So, as we begin, I would like to ask Vashti and Esther, what first sparked your interest in ICT?
Hi, good morning, everyone. Well, I'll go first, Vashti. So initially it would have been my family from the lens of trying to make more money, right? So at the time, the IT field, this is back in the day, the IT guys used to, make a lot of overtime and make a lot of money. I'm not saying that that is the case now. But in my organization at the time, that was the initial driver, providing more for my family financially. However, it has since evolved, as we mature in our career path, our why, changes over time. So that would have been my initial, and then I transitioned into cyber again because of my kids initially. But yes, that was the initial driver for me at the time.
Thank you, Vashti.
Well, when I share my story about ICT, it's going to make me look a little bit dated, but very much like Shamla, I share the experience of growing up in high school in a world where there's no internet, no one has apps on their phones. In fact, I remember the first time that I ever experienced a computer. It was a big IBM computer in a heavily air-conditioned room in which you learn command prompt. And I will tell you an interesting story about my first blush with ICT. I remember the first ICT or integrated science, computer science exam I did. I got 100 out of 100. And my teachers made me rewrite the exam. They're like, well, girls don't really get computers. And it was very interesting because even when I went on to university, the majority of computer science students and engineering students were young men. And it was something that didn't discourage me at that time. But years later, when I worked or started working for the government of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, the very first desk and very first file that I had to work on was looking at the national ICT plan for the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. And if there's one thing I can tell you about ICT, when you get into that, it's a lifelong passion. It will change your perspective on how ICT can be a voice for transition and change from small levels of the society in terms of businesses, empowering women and girls and other persons who are differently abled or even the elderly to on a larger perspective, ensuring that our country is more competitive globally. Over the years, I have not just been a technology enthusiast, but I believe that technology is the key to making that change in the future for the Caribbean, particularly. So I'll hand back over to you, Shania.
Thank you, Vashti. And it's interesting what you said because when I did computer science, I was in a class of approximately 30 students and only three of us were women. Then my first introduction to ICT was actually through an agricultural extension course that they were encouraging the computer science and IT students to do. I was the only computer science student in that course. And that course helped me to get to where I am now. So I'd like to ask Sugar and Esther, what skills or mindsets do you recommend for future ICT leaders?
I'll let Esther go first.
Sure. So my belief is, and what has helped me throughout my career is not technical skills. The major thing that you need to have, you need to be able to think critically. You need to be able to adapt. So Shamla said something, adapt with intention. Shamla said that, and that is very important because you are going to encounter challenges, you are going to encounter difficult people. Those things are not going to go away. But you as an individual have to learn how to adapt to situations, adapt to change, adapt to let's say, I don't want to say oppression or so, but you're gonna get fight down. And you have to be able to maneuver that space. So the critical thinking is one. The other thing is self-awareness. As women, we are tagged as being emotional, and which is not always the case, but being self-aware, you can know when you are getting upset, when a guy, sorry, Shogun, because we're going to enter spaces where we have biases. So you have to know how to recognize that bias and not let it get to you. So you have to know, okay, this is going to trigger me. I need to take deep breaths and I'm not going to respond to this. I'm going to focus on the message and not the messenger. So you're going to have those situations where you need to have that self-strength, that mental fortitude, that self-awareness as well, knowing yourself, establishing who you are. So I had to learn who was Esther. Those are the skills that I would say. The technical thing you can learn. You can learn techie. You can learn, you could go and get a degree, you could go and study. And people brains work differently. Someone could cram and pass an exam. But how do you translate that into the actual environment that you're going to be in? You need to have certain life skills. And that is what has helped because I'm different in the sense that I didn't have the educational background when I started working. I started working at 17. So I had to go to school and work and have family. I did everything wrong side, but that's okay. Right? Is where we end up. So I had to adapt with my life skills because I didn't have the qualifications. So that's why I can say you can always get a degree, you could always get those things. But when you leave that environment, how are you going to apply your skills and your knowledge in the real world environment is the soft skills.
Brilliant.
So first, I'd like to say thank you to the CTU for putting together this space to allow us, to share our experiences. I think for me, something very adjacent to what Esther said would be to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And the reason that I say that is at the beginning, when you get started in anything that you do, you don't start off as an expert. You start off not knowing what you don't know, and you start off really trying to learn. And at the beginning, it's very uncomfortable starting something new, learning a new skill, developing a new business. But it's something that you have to take that first leap. And it's something that over time, yes, you get more comfortable with it, but the ambiguity doesn't change. It almost like it gets bigger and you learn how to deal with more ambiguity over time. And just like with going to the gym where you do sets and you do reps, it's a similar thing with ambiguity and being uncomfortable. The more ambiguity and the more uncomfort that you're able to handle, the the larger change that you're able to execute as well. So I think for me, it's always been that knowing that when I do feel uncomfortable in a situation or I feel like I don't know something, this is actually me being in a situation where I can learn and grow. And maybe it's a learning about a new experience or learning a new skill. It's an indicator to me that this is a moment where I can learn from this, and this is a moment that I can store in my memory bank for the future and that I can reflect on and I can grow from. So that would be my one piece of advice.
Thank you, Shagan. And Essa actually introduced my next question when she mentioned biases. So what barriers did you face and how did you overcome them? And I'd like all my panelists to answer this one. So we can start with you, Shagan.
Could you repeat that one more time, please?
What barriers did you face and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, so for me, especially when I started off in ICT, I come from a very humble family, and my goal and my vision was always to have an impact on my community. First, my community started off with my village in Saint Lucia, then it expanded to the wider Saint Lucia, and then it expanded to the region, and then globally. But at the very beginning, it was the biggest question was how do I get there? How do I upskill myself to be in a place that I can execute that change. And I didn't have the financial resources to put myself through school. And that was something that in the very beginning, it was like, how do I do this? How do I make this work for me? And I guess the one thing that I always remember, and the one thing I always remember is to bet on myself. At the very beginning, when I had to take that loan to go to school, I remember, there were a lot of people that were saying like, um, there are a lot of people that said, this is a big loan. Maybe you can work during this time instead, or maybe you can just do this other thing instead of taking the student loan to go to school. And it was something that I felt that I really needed to do because of the field that I wanted to pursue. I knew I needed to get that bachelor's degree, so that I could continue to build those blocks towards shaping my career. And at the time, I remember someone saying that, if somebody else believes in me, then I have no reason not to believe in myself as well. And from that moment, I took the mentality that, I need to take this bet on myself. And from then, it's like I will always bet on myself. In any situation, I will always bet on myself to make a good outcome from the situation. So I decided to, take that leap, um, take that loan, not knowing, not really knowing how I'll pay it back or whatever. But I took that leap because I understood that yes, I will take this loan at the beginning, but I will not use all of this. I will find some way. I will find some, I don't know how, but I will find some scholarships to supplement this because I knew that by putting in the effort, the universe would make it work. Um, and that's something I really want to leave people with is that be okay with taking that bet on yourself and being uncomfortable. Be okay knowing that if you put in if you put in that work, if you put in your efforts, then you will be rewarded for your efforts. And it's okay to take that leap and choose yourself. Right.
Thank you. Vashti?
I would say one of the challenges that I would have faced particularly when I would have gotten into the field, very much like a lot of women, would be that you're the only female in the room. And you're dealing not just with male technocrats in terms of male ICT engineers, but you're dealing with male policymakers. And you're really working within a male oriented world. And what was needed, and what is needed, and what I still do, is draw upon your own confidence and draw upon your own strength. Understanding that what you are doing is making a difference and making an impact. And I find that my trajectory in life has been I have worked really hard, but embrace your challenges. Don't look at them as challenges, but see them as opportunities. And the things that you do now will inspire younger women who are getting into your field to do the same, to not be afraid, to be leaders. I do recall Shamla's speech in terms of don't just see these as challenges, but see these as corridors for building opportunities. And more now than ever. You see, unlike a lot of us that are on this panel discussion, we had to make a lot of hard decisions in terms of pursuing an education and following and endeavoring in this field. But for now, a lot of young girls, there are opportunities from primary school to high school, even university, in terms of getting into ICT because you're dealing with Generation X and digital natives. But it would come as no surprise to you that globally, women only represent 35% of those who enroll in STEM areas. And why do you think that is? It's because of a self selection bias. Culturally and socially, boys are thought to be problem solvers, and the boys are, the ones who would get into tech, and the boys are the ones who do engineering. But that is changing. And I would encourage everyone to see these challenges as opportunities, particularly for women and girls. Do you know that in a recent poll internationally on what are the future career set skills that you would need in the ICT areas, a lot of women have a natural advantage. We are natural problem solvers. We have natural social empathy. We are natural creative thinkers, and that's because of how we are brought up. And those skills are things that would make you rise and shine within the ICT sector. It is just up to us to build that confidence, create our pathways, and even when challenged, have confidence in our ability to make that difference in our field.
Thank you, Vashti. Esther?
Hi. I've had some really unique challenges as well. As I said, I left school in what the Caribbean CSEC term right after I wrote CSEC. So one, I had the challenge of finance where my parents couldn't afford to go to school to send me to university. And then the second one that I had was I had my son earlier on. So here I am trying to juggle education, work, motherhood, the entire mix. Now, some of you on the call may be a little young for that, so take your time with that, right? That's my advice. You don't have to go through my struggles. So choose wisely. So navigating that, I now have three kids, and I have two girls who are into STEM. And I look at them and I advise persons based on how I would advise my children. So essentially, one of the key things that, especially as a woman, that you have to do is know your stuff. You have to know your work. Whatever field you're in, you have to know it because you don't have a choice. You cannot afford to say the wrong thing. Unfortunately, that exists. You have to be confident in terms of how you present yourself, not just verbally, physically, how you show up. Do you show up on time? Do you show up well put together? You don't have to be rich to look well put together. These things make a difference because the first time someone sees you, that's how they're going to treat you. How you treat yourself is how people will treat you. So professionally, I did have challenges. The financial aspects, what I did, thank God for the government of Trinidad and Tobago, I availed of the program that they would have given us for GATE. And I took a while to finish the degree, but I finished. Um, the second challenge I had was, especially as I was moving up the career path, I had to learn to trust. I had to learn to trust in persons to help me because we like to play we independent, right? And we are an island and we can do this and we are superheroes. Yes, we are all of that. But at times we need to learn to trust and depend on someone else. Build that relationship. It's not going to be everybody, but you're going to have a key person, a girlfriend or a spouse, somebody, that you need to have trust. For me, I had to find persons to help with my children. And that is your crown jewels. You're not going to leave the children with any and anybody. The other thing was I had to learn to advocate for myself because as a female, you already have the biases. Where there was one time someone had mentioned to me on a project that I'm not technical enough to do a project. They didn't expect me to do what I did. So they said, "Oh, you're not technical enough." And I didn't say it, correct them in front of the persons that were there. I waited until the persons left. And I spoke to them directly and I said, "Listen, I didn't like the comment that you make. What grounds did you make that comment on?" So you have to have the confidence to deal with the challenges and deal with the naysayers. You have to have that confidence to stand up for yourself. And again, as you move up, you have to look wherever you are planted, whether it's in the private sector, the government in sector, you have to look for where the opportunities are. Don't play foolish. Again, you have to have a plan and move intentional. No chart it. We like to plan everything. Women are great planners. So you need to plan your life and where it is you want to go. Even if it doesn't have to be 10 years, it could be 1 year, it could be 3 years, but having that helps you move with intention and get your foot in the door where it may be difficult. And when you get your foot in the door, help others too. Don't just go there and say, "Oh, yes, woman, I'm the only woman in here." How do you get other women or other girls in? Do you do outreach? Do you volunteer? Those things help as well. It helped me build my confidence because I couldn't speak in a panel like this before, right? But again, you have to put yourself out there to build your confidence. Go through it. There's no way you could build confidence sitting and watching. You can't grow like that. You have to put yourself in the situations that allow you to grow, allow you to show your expertise, but make sure you take the time to develop yourself so that when anyone asks you a question, you can answer with confidence, right? And again, yes, I'm seeing in the chat, willing to be uncomfortable. You have to be uncomfortable. And that was one of the things that I was very quiet, right? No, you can't. You cannot. You have to be out there. You have to put yourself out there. Someone said, "Why did you go up for the president of ISACA?" I never volunteered in ISACA before. And the first volunteer position I went up for was the president. was the president position. Crazy stuff, right? But you have to have that confidence in yourself and your why. When times get tough, what is your why? My why has evolved too, of course. Doing it for myself, yes. Not just for my kids, but for other people's children, for other young women. You all don't have to go through what I went through. You all could stand up for yourself, but do it with class. You have to learn how to read the room. Those things help bring you and your presence, all of you. They say don't bring your whole self. You could bring your whole self, but just don't show your whole self. You need to know how to adapt to situations and to people, because that is where the challenge is. It's not the technology, it's the people. I could talk whole day, but I will stop. I will hold now.
Thank you, Esther. And at this time, we will take any questions from the attendees. So if you have a question that you would like to ask live, you can raise your hand. And we encourage you to turn on your camera when you unmute. Okay, I'll hand over to our host, Chanel, to take over this part of the panel.
Well, thank you so much for that. Well, everyone, what do you guys think about that panel discussion? How are you guys feeling about the festivities so far? Today's ICT. Very encouraging. Yes, I see that coming from Shelly. What about others? How are you guys feeling about that? Great, great. So we heard about some of the challenges that these women, as well as the males, they also face challenges within the ICT sector, as well as our women and girls. And for this panel discussion, we're asking you guys, do you guys have any questions? We have a variant amount of persons within the panelists that are willing and able to answer any questions that you have relating to ICT. We're going to open the floor once again for those questions that you may have or concerns. Again, I'm going to ask our members of the CTU to drop again the link for persons who are just joining, would like to be a part of our woman network, as well as the CTU youth network, as well as, again, we also have the internet, the IGF forum for youth as well. So we're encouraging you all to join these platforms so that we may share these events with you so that you can be a part of our innovation. All right, here we go. We see Gabriel dropping that QR code for the Caribbean ICT Youth Network. All right, and from the RSC side, are there any questions before we move on?
No questions from this side, from RSC.
Okay, great. All right, so in our next discussion, we're going to talk about digital entrepreneurship. Oh, this discussion are for the persons who say, okay, maybe they want to work but still have in the Caribbean, especially here in Jamaica, we call it a side hustle. Just getting that extra. Yes. Can you hear me?
I have to disturb you. There's a question that just came in.
Okay. 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 So Chanel, you answered my question, which was as volunteering. Can you suggest any organizations that persons can join? All right. I will suggest a few, as well as I'll allow persons from the CTU or any member from the panelists to give their intakes here. All right. So as mentioned, personally, I had joined organizations like the CTU Women Network. I've also joined the CTU Youth Network, and I'm also a part of the committee, the planning committee for the Youth Internet Governance Forum Caribbean in Youth Internet Government Forum. So those are some of the organizations that I've joined. I've also joined ISOC. Please ensure that you connect with your local ISOC chapter And these are some opportunities that you guys can have to voice your opinions about your innovation ideas and bring those to life. That's from my perspective and the ones that I've joined so far. But there are many others that I allow the panelists to discuss.
Yeah, I mean, you admitted that you're an ICANN fellow and an RN fellow.
Yes. Yes, as well as, yeah, I'm also an Internet Corporation for a sign name and number. I can for sure fellow. I mean, I could get into details about it, but I mean, again, connect with the CTU, and they can tell you more about these things. And I will also be there as well for the ICT Youth
You drop the
Network.
links in the chat.
Aaron as well as there's a lot of things that you guys can join. However, just connect with us on different platforms, and we can tell you all about it. Yes, I saw that one of our
And
panelists
there's
has
one
their hands
from
raised.
Ashwini Saran. I don't know if you've seen
But
it. Okay, I can read it.
I'm
How
not
can
seeing.
digital tools and platforms be used to help students in grades 9 to 11 make more informed career choices? Can you share some of those tools?
That's a question for the panel.
I
Yes.
think so, yes.
Okay.
Anyone would like to take that question?
And
Okay.
I'm not sure of tools, but I'm not sure of the person. Well, I know in locally in Trinidad and Tobago, we do have career fairs. We do have if you are in your school, you can actually what schools do in Trinidad is request persons to come into their school and have conversations. So for example, like this week, I would have received a request from a girls' school to come in and advise the girls on career paths in ICT and cyber. So if you're a student, you can be proactive. You don't wait for us. You reach out and said, hey, I need somebody to come in and speak to us about XYZ. So you may not necessarily have like a tool. I mean, and there are general information available online. But if you want that personal experience, my recommendation to you is reach out to associations like CTU and said, hey, we need somebody to come in and talk to us. And they will have a wealth of persons available to you, wherever island you reside in.
Thank you, Esther. And there's another question here. I know that you are the president of ISAC, and someone is just asking, maybe you could answer for a few minutes. What does ISAC do? Like,
Right.
could
So
possibly answer that question.
that's fine. So ISACA is a global organization. We more cater to professional and university students because there is a fee attached. So we're not going to invite you at school level to pay for professional membership, but we do outreach programs to schools. So there are chapters located all over the world, actually. I do believe in the Caribbean, so I could look for the chapters in the Caribbean, outside of Trinidad, because I know we have Guyana and they are Nicole as well. So our focus is in promoting digital trust among citizens, among the professionals in the industries to contribute to Caribbean diaspora and contribute globally as well for data protection, cybersecurity, IT audits, governance. Those are the main areas that we do provide guidance with. And of course, we do have social media presence. There's also the movement that we have called She Leads Tech, which is an aspect of promoting women in the industries as well. So this aligns perfectly with what we also promote. But we all, as I said, we do outreach. So if there's a community program that you all want to launch, or so ISACA directors give, expertise. We have a wealth of expertise that we give back to our country and back to our region as well. And I'm on LinkedIn, and we are on LinkedIn if anyone is looking to connect. I should have said that. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Esther. Yes, Ashley, go ahead.
Chanel, before we move on, because I'm going to have to leave, in response to the question in terms of international networks that young people can get involved in, particularly in STEM, There are lots of opportunities, not just locally with the Internet Society, which is ISOC, but also there is, for example, the ITU Youth Leaders. I'm very happy to see CTU has launched a network of women, but there's also a huge mentorship and empowering component for young women who want to get into the STEM element or STEM area. There's also the Commonwealth Youth Committees that I would strongly encourage you all to look into, because I remember growing up within the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, and while there's a keen interest in national developments in ICT, ICT is a global thing, and you want to get above and beyond, move beyond your comfort zone, get involved regionally and internationally. And I think the CTU, ITU, as well as the Commonwealth Secretariat are very good places to look at, because we welcome youth voices, youth perspectives, and the youth is the future. And we'd really be happy to get a lot of you on board and share your opinions, your challenges, and embark on this journey with us together. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, moderator and panelists. And just to let you guys know as well, uh, there's also a group of some of the best engineers across the Caribbean. It's called Caribnog. I'm also a woman in Caribnog. And that's also, I mean, as a student, that's how I keep in the know as to what's happening currently within the country, because they are just brilliant minds. They're advanced, yes, but that also challenges me to do my best in my endeavors. And so that's a group that you guys would want to connect with. Again, the links were dropped. The CTU Youth Network, connect with us through the Women Network as well. And all these things would be shared with you guys. Okay. So that's so we'll also keep posting those links and those QR codes so that you guys can join us, so that we could tell you all about the different societies that you can join for youth as well as women or boys, anyone that's interested in ICT to join this network. So next, so moving on, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to our next segment of today's program. We're talking about the entrepreneurs in this digital landscape. How does one become an entrepreneur? As I was mentioning, in Jamaica, we call it, perhaps we have our 9 to 5 jobs. In Jamaica, we say there's nothing wrong with a little extra hustle, a little extra money, a little extra cash. And so I want to introduce our next speaker, Miss Ricola Philip, content strategist, digital marketer at the Sister Isle Digital Marketing. So, Ricola, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Okay, so a couple of things before I get into everything. I love interaction. I'm going to be speaking, yes, but I believe that people tend to learn and grasp things a lot easier when they're engaged and involved and interactive. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them as we're going along. And I'll also try to leave a bit of space towards the end of my presentation or my discussion for questions. So we can get into everything. So my name is Ricolia Phillip. I am a content strategist. I'm a digital marketer, and I run my own business called Sister Isle Digital Marketing Services, which offers content strategy services, digital marketing, social media, email marketing, and basically any and everything in the sphere of digital marketing. I offer those services. Before I get into how I got here, I want to drop a mini quiz, and it may sound a bit weird that I'm asking this question now, but it'll come in handy a little bit later on towards the end of this. I'm going to ask you guys to take a guess as to what I studied at university. Option 1, computer science and marketing. Option 2, IT and finance. 3, mass communications and business. Or 4, history and sociology. I'm going to run through them again. Computer science and marketing, IT and finance, mass communication and business, or history and sociology. You can start dropping your guesses now and again towards the end, and we'll get into that in a bit. So the reason why I said that I wanted to get into a bit of my history first is where I am right now, most people, including myself, I never would have thought I would have been an entrepreneur. When I first, in between school and university, I was so ready to, get a well-paying job, have that level of job security, and build myself as a professional. Um, Becoming a digital entrepreneur was not anywhere on my radar, but happenstance, the right circumstances and everything just led into that space. I actually started in my career as a YouTuber back in 2013, somewhere thereabouts. I actually had a YouTube channel with a group of friends, and we started doing a lot of social commentary around things around Trinidad and Tobago. And content like that went viral. It was at the start, before things like social commentary, what we see right now, was a thing. And that actually caught the eye of this little known media house called Loop News. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Loop News, Loop Caribbean, Loop TT here in Trinidad and Tobago. Because they saw my presentation skills, even though it had a comedic slant, they really were impressed with my presentation skills. And that actually earned me the role of being the face of Loop for Trinidad and Tobago. That was at a time when Loop was now entering into the Trinidad and Tobago market. There was no such thing as digital media or digital journalism in the way that we know it now. And I essentially was recruited to represent the brand. I was covering stories across business and economics, crime, entertainment, lifestyle, any and everything under the sun. I was out there and doing that coverage. And that essentially started and opened the door for my career in digital journalism. I started, more than just writing and covering stories, I started to get curious about like the full spectrum of media because I was working alongside my videographer. I started to understand video production a lot more. I started to understand, storyboarding and storytelling. I started to do production. So I started creating, mini series under Loop. And because it was digital news, some huge part of what we had to do was monitor and track the engagement of our stories. So we had our big office, and we always have a screen where you can see all the stories going up in real time, and you're seeing when the stories are going out, you're seeing the amount of views that are coming in, the kind of engagement that's coming in, the kind of comments, you're able to see how much shares. You were able to see where the traffic was coming from. Was the traffic coming from our website? Was it coming from our app? Was it coming from social media? All of that. And that actually sort of piqued my curiosity on digital marketing. I started to understand a bit more about recognizing and creating stories that people were already interested in and how to craft more stories along those lines. I started to understand analytics a bit more. I started to understand, what goes into positioning stories in a particular way and marketing your content and all of that. So while I was, building my career in digital journalism and media, I was also slowly building my experience in digital marketing. In 2019, I actually submitted one of my pieces to the Caribbean Tourism Organization Media Awards. And as a result of that, I ended up winning in 2019 the CTO Award for Best Feature by a Caribbean Journalist. And that was one of the highlights of my career. I never expected, I entered just to enter, but I never expected that I would have won anything. So it really was one of the most humbling and one of the most proudest moments of my career and my life. These things, and I'm kind of going to show you how I'm stacking certain things. So one, YouTube led to my career in digital journalism and media. Coming off of the awards and where things were going, I was actually offered a position by the Tobago Tourism Agency. They're the agency that's responsible for marketing Visit Tobago. That's a destination brand for Tobago. I essentially was offered a position to be their content marketing manager, their content manager. And my job was essentially all about creating and crafting that narrative around Tobago, the best things to do, see and experience in Tobago, sort of reshifting the original narrative that Tobago is known for, Pigeon Point and Crab and Dumpling and Heritage Festival, and the very basic things that had been associated with Tobago. It was really meant to be a bit more of a deep dive into showcasing all of this, places to stay, where to eat, and all of that. the funny thing is I got that job before a little known, you may not know about this particular period, but there's a little known period called COVID-19. So I essentially had to start marketing a destination at a time when the world shut down, when no one was traveling, where travel and tourism was a non-essential aspect in everything. And I still had to do my job, but I found a way to do it. I used the downtime. I said I would use that downtime when no one was, moving to really go deeper into the narrative and the rich culture and history of Tobago. I started crafting a lot of blog posts. I started featuring all of the hidden gems that people may not know about Tobago. And I started to angle the narrative less about Visit Tobago, but more around this is what you can do and experience when you return, when we welcome your return. I launched a campaign called Dreaming of Tobago, where essentially we invited past visitors to send their past memories and experiences of their time in Tobago. And all of that got collated into one very beautiful video that outlined all of the beauty that Tobago has to offer. And that was a great teaching moment, not that I had to take up on, and I had to discover and learn about how you have to be agile as a marketer, and how even when external things are coming at you that may throw off your plans, you have to find a way to still do your job, but at the same time creates a narrative and creates a message that is still empathetic and that is still telling the story of the product, but in an empathetic way. And that was a major campaign that saw a lot of eyeballs on it. We had hundreds of thousands of views on the video on YouTube. Our social media skyrocketed. It really did a lot to put Tobago on the map, not just within like Trinidad and Tobago and the region, but globally as well. So that was another proud moment that, I was able to be at the helm at that. The thing though is that even though I was not in any danger of losing my job, I was still in a place where I was in an industry that was non-essential. And I was a bit concerned about job security. And it was one of the situations where, if push comes to shove, it'll be, first one in, last one out. And everything that was happening with the pandemic and all of that, I started sort of reevaluate, how I wanted to serve and what I wanted to do and what was providing the most value for me. And I essentially took a chance on myself. I said, you know what? I think now is the time to essentially collate all of my experience throughout the years and use that to serve and use that to provide services that businesses, small, medium, and large businesses need in the way that I know I can do. Of course, I was not the only digital marketer out there, but I knew I had like a unique set of skills and experience that I could provide. And that is where Sister Isle Digital was launched. And I've been very blessed to be, from the time that I launched the business till now, I have been able to serve in so many different ways. The span of industries that I've been in has allowed me to really grow professionally, grow the business and all of that. And, that includes banking and finance, fashion, food and beverage, music and entertainment, carnival, it runs the full spectrum. And I'm really grateful to be in the position that I'm at right now, and also very sure in what I'm doing is not only working, but because of my unique background and experience, I'm able to provide and serve clients and industries in a way that only I can. Now that's my story. And I know when it comes to things like digital entrepreneurship and all that, people may think, oh, it's just as easy as this, or it's just to do that. Sometimes we tend to see things online and think that the people that we admire started from the top, and that's not the case. You see the end results of things, but there was a lot that people had to go through in order to get to where they're at right now. So just to kind of break down exactly what digital entrepreneurship is, it's basically the process of using digital tools and platforms and technologies to build and grow a business online and generate create income generating activity online. So this can include selling products or services. So in my case, I'm a service-based business. I essentially provide outsource my skill set and my experience and my knowledge. You can create or monetize your content. If let's say you want to become a content creator, you can build communities or platforms online. The thing with digital entrepreneurship is that unlike traditional businesses, you can start from anywhere with little to no upfront investment, and you can scale as you go along. That was the benefit that I had. I didn't have a huge investment or huge cash injection when it came to certain things, but I was able to essentially start small and build from there. All right, I'm seeing I have a few minutes left, so I'm gonna just go into a few things really quickly here. Some things you may want to consider when it comes to starting your own business. If you're thinking about where you can go into, like I said, you can become a content creator where you can sell your experiences, you can sell your talents, you can sell your knowledge base. That is something that's very invaluable. You can sell products, you can become a service provider, or you can become an educator, of course, as time goes by, and you can build community from there. Some wins I want to highlight because yes, there are a lot of great wins in terms of the flexibility and the autonomy that comes with certain things. I was in a great position to turn a lot of my passions and my skill sets into a business and on my terms. But of course, there are some challenges that you have to keep in mind. So sometimes you don't get taken seriously, especially in some of the spaces that you may be in, but that's where resilience comes in. Sometimes people underestimate what goes into your work. May tend to run into clients who want to underpay or undercut when it comes to providing monetary value. You may get burnt out and that sort of thing, but you have to keep in mind that if this is something that you know that you're not only passionate about, but you know that you have true value and you know that you can build something, resilience is a critical element to all of this. Some skills that you definitely need to have, or soft skills outside of the actual hard skills you have, is the natural ability to problem solve. Every successful entrepreneur needs to know how to solve a problem, whether it's figuring out how to edit a video, whether it's working with a difficult client and having to navigate around that, how to essentially stretch a dollar for a client. Problem solving is a key element to this. Emotional intelligence is also very critical. So knowing how to manage your emotions, again, using the example, if you have a difficult client, knowing how to keep your emotions in check and keep, business and professionalism at the forefront, being able to read the room as well and adapt and respond accordingly. Having a natural curiosity is also critical. You don't have to know everything and know everything upfront, but you have to have that desire to learn, to want to learn. Google is your friend. Google is your best friend. Google, YouTube, TikTok tutorials, YouTube tutorials, however you want to do it. And actually doing it as well as how you get better at what you do and get better at your craft. Professionalism is key no matter what. Showing up on time, answering your emails, respecting people's time. At the end of the day, your reputation is your business. My reputation is the most invaluable part of my business. And I put a lot of work into protecting that because that is what keeps me and my business going. In all of that, though, something you have to keep in mind is protecting your mental health. The digital world can move very quickly, whether you're providing a service, you're offering a product, whatever the case may be. And it's very easy to get overwhelmed. So you have to make space, like carve out that space for rest, for therapy, anything that you need to keep you grounded. You don't always have to be productive. There, a term that was thrown out earlier was hustle culture and, having a side hustle. I would like to think that we need to move away from that because having that hustle culture and hustle mentality means that you're constantly going and you don't have time for yourself. You're not able, and you're not in a position to check in with yourself. And that leads to burnout. And when you're burnt out, you can't serve your business. Yeah. And resilience is critical as well. I'm not sure how much time we have left, and I'm trying my best not to speed, but also trying to maintain a particular pace. One thing I want to wrap up with is there are a few ways you can start your own digital business on a budget. Like I said, you don't have to have a huge cash injection here. You can leverage free tools and maximize and master those like a pro. So using Canva, CapCut, Google Docs, Google Drive has a vast wealth of free products under its belt that can allow you to essentially serve as a business or whatever you want to do. You can use project management tools like Notion and Trello that keeps everything organized in one place. That can allow you to go from ideation to production to distribution all in one place. Start with what you know and love. You don't have to try to be something. Start with what you are passionate about. Start with where you know you are really skilled at. Think about, what am I good at? And beyond it being good at it, try to push it a bit further. What am I good at, and what can I offer that's a bit different or has an edge over my competitors? Start with your network. You don't always have to try to go out to earn with high paying clients. You can work within your network with friends, family, leverage your family's networks and connections as well. That is how you're able to build experience. And it's a low hanging fruit and a good way for you to build your experience without having to make too many costly mistakes as well. Um, you can start with a clear but simple brand in terms of how do you want to serve and show up. What does your brand stand for? And ultimately leveraging the power of community and networking. Uh, Last two things, show up consistently. You do not have to be perfect. Again, don't let social media fool you. Social media is a lie. I'm just letting you know. Don't let social media fool you into thinking that the perfect entrepreneur that you're seeing who's, traveling constantly and, living life nice. Don't think that that is them all the time. There's a lot that happens behind the scenes and they're curating what they want you to see. Showing up consistently, even when you're not perfect, that brings your audience into showing, how you actually build something, how you went from 0 to 1,000, right? And that lends to a lot of authenticity and people connect with that a lot more. And lastly, document everything. I'm doing that right now. I'm with you guys right now and I'm actually documenting this session with you guys. And I'm going to use that and leverage that as well to showcase further insights about being an entrepreneur and all of that. When you document, you're able to review, you're able to, when in your lowest moments, able to look back and see, wow, I came from that to this is where I am right now. And again, this is how you build community as well. And you're letting the next generation of people who are looking up to you see, oh, if she's able to do it, I can do it too. Yeah. So coming back to my poll question, what did you guys think I studied in university? Was it computer science and marketing, IT and finance, mass communication and business, or history and sociology?
I saw a raised hand from Kathleen.
I'm not sure if anyone has any responses. I'm seeing mass comm. Okay. I think I saw somewhere IT at some point in time.
Yeah, I seen a lot of history and sociology too. So
Okay, okay. So for those of you who said history and sociology, you guys are spot on. And the thing is, the reason why I asked that, I wanted to start with that, is most people are very surprised when I tell them what I studied at university. Most people think I did, have a degree in marketing. I have a tech background because I'm working in digital marketing, and there's this association with digital and tech and all of that. The reason why I asked that question is there's no one path to becoming a digital entrepreneur. There's no one path to getting to where you want to be. I highlighted my career background, and you can see that what I studied at university had nothing to do with where my career took me. And I want you guys to think as well, whether in secondary school, in university, about to graduate, whatever the case may be, if you are, let's say you want to do something beyond what you studied, you don't have to be locked into whatever you studied at university. If you have a passion for something and you believe that this is where it's at, do it. I have a friend who studied civil engineering at university, and she is an esthetician and one of the top MUAs, makeup artists in Trinidad and Tobago. So that's just to give you a further insight into how you can literally do anything that you want. And I want to end by saying this: the world needs your ideas. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to start. You don't have to wait until you're older, richer, or more qualified. You don't need a perfect plan, but you just need the courage to begin. And that is it for me. If you guys have any questions, I am willing to field all of them.
Thank you, Ricola, for that insightful speech about entrepreneurship. We do appreciate entrepreneurs within our digital space. Are there any current entrepreneurs here? We can make some reactions going. Are there any inspired entrepreneurs here? And if you're thinking about getting into entrepreneurship within the digital space, let us know. Perhaps the name of the business that you have in mind, anything that could link back to your imagination. All right, so we wanted to take a group photo. So I'm gonna ask everyone here, turn on your cameras because we wanna capture this moment. Recall us spoke about recording. And this is part of CTU's way to record how we're performing, right? So next year, that's gonna be 2026. We wanna know how we did this time as opposed to next year. We want to know if we're growing, if we're developing. And I'm also seeing that a survey link was posted in the chat. Perhaps CTUs, if you could possibly send that link again, because we have to record this moment. We have to get the feedback from the participants. Thank you, everyone. So if you could kindly turn on your cameras, that would be great for us to take our group photo.
Okay, anyone else? Right, I see some people don't have webcams on their system. That's okay. We appreciate it. Hi, Carrie Ann. We see you. Thank you for joining. Carrie Ann, she's in cybersecurity and she works at the OAS.
Nice.
Right. All right, I'm going to take the screenshot now. So anyone else? All right, so here goes. Let me see those smiles. It's a beautiful day according to Chanel. Right, so I'm going to take page 2. Thank you so much, everyone. Chanel, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you. And I just want to highlight and thank everyone for being a part of this session. We have on the RSC's platform, 5,180 persons were viewing today's session. Now that speaks to the impact that we have within the Caribbean. That speaks to the impact that CTU is giving in this ICT industry and the inclusiveness of what the CTU stands for within the woman in ICTU space. So for our next presenter, her name is Miss Gabrielle Johnson. She is the vice chair of the CTU's ICT Youth Network, and she would give our wrap-up discussion.
So, good morning again, everyone. So, as we bring this morning's session to a close, I just want to really thank each and every one of you joining us for the CTU's Girls in ICT Day celebration. I think today has truly been a powerful reminder of the importance and the incredible potential of women and girls in the world of ICTs. To our feature speaker, Ms. Shamla Maharaj, thank you so much for your motivating words and for setting the tone for today's discussions. I think your insight helped us imagine what's possible when women are empowered to lead, innovate, and thrive in technology spaces. To our amazing panelists in the session from the classroom to the boardroom, thank you for sharing your journeys with such honesty and strength. Your stories of growth, resilience, and leadership have not only inspired us, but have shown us that success in ICT is as diverse and dynamic as the women who pursue it. You've proven that the path to leadership in tech is not only possible, but well within reach. And from there, we dove into the world of digital entrepreneurship, where we explored what it takes to build and grow an online business in today's digital economy. Thank you to our presenter, Ms. Ricola Phillip, for offering real-world guidance and practical tools for turning ideas into impact. So throughout the day, a powerful theme echoed through every session for me. And that theme is there is space for you in tech. Whether you're starting out in the classroom or leading from the boardroom, this space is yours to claim, shape, and to lead. Of course, none of this would have been possible without the steady hands guiding today's program, our moderator, Ms. Shania Lewis, and our hosts, Ms. Chanel McPherson and Ms. Michelle Garcia. Thank you all for your energy, professionalism, and grace. And as Vice Chair of the Caribbean ICT Youth Network, I'm especially proud of how today's event reflects our mission. At CIYN, we are committed to creating a vibrant, youth led community where young people, especially young women, are not just included in ICT conversations, but are leading them. We offer a space where you can exchange ideas, build skills, access mentorship, and help shape the digital future of the Caribbean region. So, to all the young women here today, I'm not sure if they have some guys in here too. I want to reiterate what Michelle would have said and really welcome you to be a part of this network. So, if today's event has sparked your interest or deepened your passion for ICT, I encourage you to join the Caribbean ICT Youth Network. Be a part of a supportive space that uplifts and connects youth innovators like you across the region. So, whether you're in school, as Michelle said, exploring your career path, or already stepping into the world of ICT, remember your voice, your vision, and your presence matters. The future of tech needs us. So, don't be afraid to lead, learn, and to leap. So, again, let's continue to support each other. Let's stay connected. Let's build a more inclusive, empowered digital future together. So thank you and happy Girls in ICT Day. I will post the QR code in the chat so that you could stay abreast of all CIYN activities. So I'll post it again because I think more people would have joined. So I'll post it again. Thank you. Back to you, Chanel.
Thank you so much, Gabrielle. I'd like for the speakers, if you're still with us, you could, I'm sure some persons here would like to connect with you. So if it's possible for you to drop your LinkedIn information in the chat below, that would be great. As well as, so Michelle, for everyone that has joined us today, this session has been incredible. From the power stories to the eye-opening discussions to the vibrant energy that we're getting from both platforms in the chat. Today reminded us that the future of tech is brighter, it is stronger, and it's more inclusive when girls and women are at the forefront. We've heard from our role models and advocates and our visionaries across the Caribbean. Again, girls and women, if you're watching this, you belong in ICT. Your ideas are needed, and we are the voice that matters. Okay? I will turn it over to Michelle for your final comment from the CTU. Thank you for having me today.
Thank you, Chanel. Thank you, Esther. I think she left already. Thank you, Shogun. Thank you, Vashti. I think she also left the platform. Shamla, oh my God, I was so inspired. I usually follow you on, I think it's TTT. Shamla has a program, and I've tuned in more than once. It was very interesting and inspiring. And as I said, we are an inclusive organization, and we promote the use of ICT among the PWD community, PWD persons with disability. Then Ricolia, and as I mentioned yesterday to the speakers, Ricolia was highly recommended by Karen Rose. I don't know if some of you know Karen Rose, who is currently living in Thailand. I think he's in Bali right now, touring that side of the world. Because Karen Rose, he advocates for digital nomads, and he highly recommended Ricolia and did not disappoint. And we thank you so much. So I know Chanel mentioned that we have, and my dearest colleague, Shanae Lewis. Shanae is, she has a policy analyst. She also has a background in computer science and mechanical engineering. So she knows what she's doing. Yes. So next year, it's going to be bigger. It's going to be better. This year, school was closed. So it was a bit difficult to navigate and to bring students into our secretariat. Because last year we had a hybrid event the year before. We usually like to bring the students in, but we don't do that outside of their teachers and the school support. So next year will be bigger and better. Thank you, everyone. Today was so exciting, and as Gabby said, it was and indeed a very powerful session. Chanel, once again, excellent job. Okay, so see you soon. Be sure to get all the information in the chat. We're going to end soon. Please fill out the survey. Do you need me to stay on for 1 more minute so that you can copy all the information? If not, you can send an email to putting an email address in the chat, seu@ctu.int. Copy that quickly. So if you need any additional information, we would be happy to provide it. Thank you very much, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Great session. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye, thank you.